Hey, I did it. All right, we're recording.
All
We're
right,
ready to go there.
letting everybody in.
Start letting them in one at a time.
Oh,
Everybody tends to come in between 12:01. I'm going to have you get started here pretty quickly though.
yep,
We got a lot to unpack.
do. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for attending.
Hi, everybody. Go ahead and place yourselves on mute. If not, I'm muting you now.
I tend to be a little bit interactive, so if you know how to pull yourself off of mute, that would be great. But I'll also probably at some point ask for the high sign of are you convicted or not yet, but we'll see.
All right, everybody, we'll get started. Can't wait. Megan Youngman here, your chair for the Northeast Section, continuing education. Still excited to bring you these Webbies. I hope that we'll still have them next month for you as well. We want to have at least a couple of them before, I think the faucet is going to turn on very quickly for all of us here in the Northeast. Um, Such an exciting topic. It's something that this gentleman here is very well versed on. He uses it every single day. Brad Pluth, he's a master professional for the PGA, founder of the Golf Achievement Academy, which is an online academy and in-person coaching. For over the last 27 years, he's delivered about 57,000 lessons across 46 states and 11 countries. He uses Gear's 3D motion capture, TrackMan, Body Track, and like I said, he integrates this AI into his daily coaching practice. It allows him to have his lesson, to have his follow-up, to have his practice plans. It helps him create content and helps him with his business operations. So without further ado, I'm going to leave this over to Brad. He's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of exciting stuff to share with us today. Brad, thanks for being here.
Yeah, appreciate it, Megan. Thanks for reaching out to me and forward to sharing a few of my experiences and hopefully accelerate the process for other coaches that look to implement and use AI. So to me, I think I took this from Anthony Robbins or Tony Robbins, and he said AI isn't going to replace you, but people that know how to use AI may replace you. So I think this is a really important topic for coaches. So there's a little bit of the overview. We'll do about 20 minutes of content. We'll leave probably 8 or 10 minutes for Q&A. Talk a little bit about the different platforms that I use, and then give you a little bit of an assignment and give you some options to actually apply what you're going to learn here today. So we'll get rolling. So what is AI? To me, AI is, in plain English, it's autocomplete on steroids. So if I said Mary had a little, Megan, what do you say?
Lamb.
Right. Humpty Dumpty sat on a,
He sat on a wall.
right? So that's basically what AI is. It's basically tracking. So different platforms have taken knowledge bases, like Grok has taken knowledge bases from universities and Twitter. Claude has taken knowledge bases from newspapers. ChatGPT has kind of done a little bit of everything. So you get a different voice based on how the AI is kind of programmed. And that's kind of a key thing to kind of remember is you have to prompt and program AI because it can't really read your mind. But so again, it's a prediction tool. It's not always accurate. So double check your work. And I guess I think I'll come to this in a second, but a lot of issues around privacy. And I would say probably the best thing that I heard is if you won't tell your grandmother something, don't put it on AI. So if you don't trust your financials or some of your, what do you think, maybe proprietary information, don't share it. So that's kind of my rule for privacy. But you're probably already using it in a number of different ways. If you're using Sportsbox, that's basically an AI 3D biomechanics swing catalyst, so like swing analysis tools. I think you're going to see a pretty big jump. I don't know if you heard yesterday that AI or Bryson's team bought Sportsbox, and they'll probably start pushing. They're going to combine with Google and Meta to basically do a lot of things through your phone, through, got these fun glasses that are going to be pretty smart and forward thinking. So I started kind of looking at AI as what could I do to build anything that happened before the lesson and after the lesson. And then I kind of started finding ways to use it during the lesson. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about that. So to me, it's definitely eased my content creation. I'll give you a few examples of how I've done that here toward the end. So show of hands real quick. How many of you spend more time than you want on emails? Right? That's probably more like booking agents, right? How much or how many of you have said that you want to spend more time posting and sharing content and driving business? Again, by show of hands. Perfect. So I think that's probably most of us, right? So today isn't about learning technology, but it's about getting your time back. And if anything that you kind of do repeatedly is something that AI can help you do on your own. So some of the things that I'll draft up, like lesson plans. I've been coaching for 25 years. I can pretty much walk into most situations pretty well prepared. But if you've got new coaches, you can use AI to kind of help them a little bit develop lesson plans or your workflows. If you want something done on a consistent basis, AI will do it every time that you ask it to do it. So drafting practice plans, which is to me usually after the lesson, not before, but you could use it a little bit before if you've got a long-term lesson program. Take a screenshot of the data or averages, ask AI if you're using TrackMan or Gears or whatever technology, take a screenshot, ask how could I make this better or how could I make the most impact for this golfer? And it'll give you pretty good data at this point. Business operations, lesson revenue patterns, if you start saying, hey, I'm having a hard time filling between 12 and 3, AI will go in and look and say, hey, this is the pattern of golfers that will take lessons between 12 and 3. You might want to market to those types of people. Content creation. To me, I view my goal with social media is to entertain, educate, and inspire golfers. So if it doesn't meet those filters, I'm not there to have arguments. I'm not there to kind of tell people they're wrong. I'm, again, just focusing on educating, inspiring, and entertaining golfers. So if it doesn't fit those 3 requirements for me, I try not to post that. And that's kind of a filter that I'll use. So you can kind of see on the right, one of the, only on LinkedIn, these are a lot of the lesson summaries that I'm pulling from my lesson transcripts. And it's writing these golf and life applications. So they're kind of fun. I'm getting like 1,500 views a week on LinkedIn alone with these little lesson snippets. So I'll do that basically once a day. So I've basically programmed Claude to take my lesson transcripts and pull out 3, actually it's like 3 to 5, and I kind of pick the 3 best ones. Golf and life lessons. So again, curriculum development, if you're teaching golf schools, if you're teaching junior camps, it's awesome. So my big 3 that I've been using in order is Claude. Again, Claude's probably the best copywriting tool at the moment, and you'll probably see big jumps in a bunch of them, but lesson plan, strategy, curriculum, that kind of stuff. I'll use a little bit of ChatGPT. That's kind of my research assistant. So if you use deep research with ChatGPT and you want to reverse engineer, say, TPI, or pick your favorite golf coach, Butch Harmon, or some of the other golf coaches out there that you like or admire or that you want to get to know, you can reverse engineer their business model, their coaching philosophy, a bunch of different things. And then last but not least is NotebookLM. Again, this is a great way. I think their tagline is you can learn anything with NotebookLM. I'll give you a sample of that here in just a second. You can see on the bottom how I use each of these, and they each have their own job. So NotebookLM is, you can look up anything. I use it for my Bible studies. I use it for my business. I use it for finding different cars or whatever. So But you can upload any source, or you can just kind of see in a second. I did a little research on Megan. For those of you that don't know Megan, you'll get to know her a little bit better here in a minute. It'll query and find basically 10 different resources, pull them all together, and then it'll auto-generate like a podcast. If you like listening, you can listen. It'll do reports if you like to read, and it'll do use cases like here's how you could apply different things to different parts of your business. So one of the big deals for like is to use AI is prompting. So I kind of came up with this little prompting strategy. It's want to set its role or kind of limit it. Like you don't want to say, tell me about everything I need to know about putting. Like that's probably not going to be a real effective prompt. But if you say, I want you to act like a world-class putting coach and look for David or find 5 coaches and provide coaching philosophies and workflows for these 5 coaches, it'll do it, right? So purpose, like what do you want it to do? And then give context, clearly state the task, and then who's your audience and or what output do you want? Do you want it in a chart? Do you want it in a report? Do you want an image? Any of those things, right? So just a little tip. I think prompting is probably a skill that when you're first using AI is a critical skill to develop. So little acronym to use. So again, going back to NotebookLM, this was, so I think I typed in, kind of seeing the top left there, Megan Youngman golf coaching, and it came up with all this stuff. So on the left, you'll see all the resources. So if they're online, it'll pull their top 10 different information components, and you'll see there's YouTube videos, there's websites, there's Skillist and LPGA, and then it'll provide like an overview. And then on the right, that's actually one of the reports that'll run. So it'll give you a report if you like to read. This was an infographic that it would create. And this is kind of a little background on Megan. Now, real quick, Megan, as you read through this is a pretty impressive career, by the way. Well done. Is there anything on here that may or may not be fully truthful? Do you see any errors that?
I can't even believe that it has about the management of the 5 courses. Wow. Yes, all of this is true.
All of that is true. Okay, so normally
it's impressing me. It's making me tired.
Right. Yeah, we need to talk about driving some local business. Anyways, usually there's like 1 or 2 things. There's something might not be spelled correctly, or there might be a fact that's off by a 0, which is kind of a big deal. But this is kind of an example of a summary overview for those 10 slides. Now, even more, you can ask it to do a slide deck. And if you're really interested in kind of diving a little deeper, the slide deck feature is really cool. It'll go through and basically do a business breakdown for all of her different activities and influence that she has around the game of golf. So really cool tool. Hope you try that out. Some of the other applications that I've used this for is TPI, like what are their swing faults. So I did a kind of a 2-week-long research project and basically typed in, give me the definition, faults and fixes, games, drills, and exercises for sway, or basically went through all 16. And kind of created these nice little reports. So I've got a big knowledge base that I've kind of fed into my coaching system with different information. Now, again, it wasn't 100% accurate. There were a few things that when I showed it to some of my friends over at TPI, they're like, yeah, that's not quite right. So I made the edits and you can adjust on the fly. So again, double check your work. So a couple of fun ways of using AI is, if you haven't done this yet, like you've got ChatGPT, which is, most of the platforms will have a free version, but take your phone into your fridge and take a snapshot and say, I've got 5 minutes to make a meal. What would you make? Right? That's probably one of my favorite uses. If you've got 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, awesome. But it will kind of kick out some fun deals. last night I had my son buy a car, and I had Claude basically negotiate the whole thing. Like it found the car, it negotiated price, it did the vehicle history lookup and made sure it didn't have too many accidents or what you could afford. It was probably a little different than what I can afford, which is part of the deal. That's kind of the limit, right? Like find a car for under $7,500 or whatever it was. Um, and then links to the dealership. So I made him do a little bit of the research. I didn't want to take him off the hook completely, but we're able to, in about 2 hours, find a car and call the guy. Went and picked it up last night. So it was pretty quick. I'll let you kind of read through these. I will send this to Megan, so I don't feel like you'll get these slides back. So some of the common questions, again, AI is not going to replace golf coaches. It might replace fitters. I don't want to be too brutal, but if you've got good technology, I can do a fitting now in 5 minutes rather than 45 minutes, just based on the data that I'm getting. Is your data private? Read the privacy policy. Everybody's different. Kind of the way I look at it is I've synthesized information over the last 30 years of coaching. I'm kind of using everybody else's information. So I'm kind of pouring my stuff in there. You can find my PGA Mass Professional thesis in there. You can find all kinds of stuff. So I'm just I figure I'll just feed it. Again, the better the content or the better the prompts or the better the knowledge base, the better your responses. Can it give wrong information? I think I've mentioned that a few times. Double check. It's not always 100% accurate. If you're not tech savvy, can you use this? Of course, it's just kind of like having a conversation. So one of the things that I was coached on was talk, don't type. Okay. So just about all of these platforms have a little microphone on the bottom, and just you can have conversations now with AI. Just hit that conversation button, ask your question, it'll respond, ask another question for clarification, and it'll go kind of back and forth with you a little bit. Another best practice is if you ask it to create something, ask it to make it better 3 times, and then you'll be shocked at what it'll do. So, for instance, last night I had to onboard a new employee that hasn't worked with TrackMan or really done too much club fitting. But I needed him Saturday to be part of my golf school, and we're doing a Dominate with Your Driver event. So I asked it, like, you just need to understand how to move all the metrics in TrackMan for the optimizer. So there's 6 metrics in the optimizer. Teach this coach how to use these 6 metrics and how to affect the numbers. And I think I also did write a 20-question quiz. So not only did it do that, but it did training for all 26 parameters in TrackMan, and then provided the coaching on top of it. So it kind of did a little bit more than I was hoping to, but we'll see how that if he goes through it. But I know he's going to go through it. But anyways, for me, I'm saving 25% of my time. So I feel like I can coach about another 10 hours a week just by integrating AI. So one of the things that I'm doing is recording all of my lessons, and then those transcriptions are being fed into Claude, and Claude will provide my lesson summaries that include purposeful practice. So I kind of trained it so I'm getting 2 pre-swing thoughts, 1 in-swing thought. It'll do the games, drills, and exercises that we talked about during the lesson, or it'll even go and create a game drill or exercise based on my knowledge base. And then it'll do my follow-ups. So 3 days after the lesson, it'll automatically text the student, hey, how's it going? And track progress. I'm also using that content to write books and write social media articles and different things. So to me, it's a huge time saver. So last call to action, I think I got 1 minute, is to pick one. I wouldn't recommend trying to do all 3, but pick one and post, or just try to find a best use for it. So whether you take a screenshot of TrackMan and say, hey, help my 15-year-old 16 handicap golfer fix their slice, and let it go. or take it to your fridge and eat a little bit cleaner. Probably my favorite one.
Yeah.
Right. So again, your expertise is not irreplaceable. This AI handles everything around it. So I think I nailed that at 20 minutes. Look at that. It's like a practice. So I'll open it up to questions.
Wow, Brad, that was really great. I just love how organized this was, and your visuals are incredible. Before we get started in Q&A, I just want everybody here to know we're going to make sure that all of you get not only the recording of this, which by the way, I'm better at that now. This is recording.
She did
And
it.
you're going to get the slides as well. I think it's really important that the section gets these slides as well and get some and get some of this expertise that Brad has come here to share. I'm going to open up the floor for everybody. I'm going to ask you to unmute if you can, so that we can have a conversation. Just kind of give a wave if you have something to say and something to ask. Go ahead and get on here and ask your questions. He's got all the answers.
Oh, well, come on now. I know where to go to find answers, but I don't expect all of them.
Or should I say he knows where to go to find all the answers?
That's right. I can help you prompt a good question, I guess.
Virginia.
Yeah, hi. Thank you both. This has been this is like an area that I'm not comfortable in. And so I did this on purpose so I could sort of understand a little bit better how it can be an assistant.
Mhm.
I, I, I'm also a licensed psychotherapist. So when I hear things like recording sessions, it on the one hand, and then summarizing, it makes me a little uncomfortable, even though I know it can have value. So I'm curious about sort of the client reactions when you've offered to do the recordings. Is there an age difference? Is there something that you notice, like the older people say no, or does everybody say yes, or just out of curiosity?
I do ask for permission, and actually, I've even put it in my booking agent where they have to check the box if they're okay with me recording the session. And I just tell them up front, like, I'm gonna record this session, and you're gonna get these deliverables based on the recording. I'm not, yeah. So it's also helped me. Like, I've created a different app for, like, honestly, to provide me coaching on my coaching, right? So it's interesting to have it basically say, hey, your last 10 lessons have asked for a list of training aids that you've been recommending. I use a swing fan to warm up. It's like the only tool that I use in every lesson, but it is something that I use. So it kind of prompted me, here's your 10 training aids, or your 10 most common training aids based on your last 20 lessons. Here's a list, here's an Amazon link, whatever. So and then if I mention something in the lesson, it'll show up in their transcript. But I do ask for permission. That's a good point. If they say, no, I'm not comfortable with you recording this, I actually haven't had that happen in 4 months. But I do tell them, like, hey, this is upfront. This is why I'm recording it. I'm not going to share it on social media, or the transcript, but that transcript is really valuable in building my knowledge base. So, but again, I haven't had anybody say no.
Right, so there's a receptivity there that is that's been sort of helpful in terms of developing
Yeah.
strategies. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
I would believe that there'd be more privacy, Virginia, that your clients would want over maybe someone like on the lesson tee. That might be a little bit different.
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
You said you're a psychotherapist?
Yep.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would assume that there maybe would be a little bit more pushback, with getting if somebody had a problem with it or not versus a
Yeah.
golf lesson.
Yeah. That's going to be
But
my marketing for psychotherapy in the future is I'm never recording. I'm never recording. So you guys can record, you do your thing. I'm not recording. But it is something in the field, right? And there is a value. So I was kind of curious about, it makes sense that the golf, the lessons would be more, it's not like sharing private information. So there's a more openness to it. So I could see the receptivity, but I could also see the caution. So it's interesting. People are saying yes, and that's good.
So the
See,
forum.
Cheryl joined us. Hi, Cheryl.
Hey guys, how are you?
Very
Yep,
well, thank you.
I have had multiple conversations with Brad about AI over. I've been recovering from a leg surgery, and so we have like, I don't know, Brad, how many times would you say we talk about all this? But it's been really fun watching the journey and how he creates. And can I share the story about when you went to Hawaii, Brad?
Sure, I'm not sure which one you're going to tell.
Oh, so yeah, so we went to Hawaii, and in the morning he'd get up early when I know his wife and kids, and they're out doing their thing, and in whatever 5 days, I'm like, so how many books have you written? How many books was it? Was it seven?
Four.
Four books in his vacation in a couple hours. I mean, it's phenomenal what AI has been able to condense and put together, and you have to make it your own. I've been doing a lot of research into the AI stuff too, and they said, AI will never replace you, but people who know how to use it, they will replace you. So I think that's so important for us, whatever field you're in, and especially as a golf professional, I think there's so many ways to streamline what we do and to make it better with the follow-up notes, and I love what Brad is doing to take his information during his lessons and coming up with a database of, wow, these are the 10 most common problems that every golfer comes with, and you can kind of start to now quantify, and you can build, statistics that you can present that you're from your own research of your own lessons, which I think it makes it, really, it makes you sound more intelligent. Mm-hmm. And because we do that, but we don't always quantify what we've done. Or for me, I haven't been really good at that. I just love getting on a lesson tee and I'm hands-on doing it. But I think with the AI tool, it can organize and make things, keep track of it, and just quantify it really well. So great job, Megan, for putting this together. He's a rock star.
Well, he's doing it all. I tell you, I love this. I love learning about this. I know that this is very intimidating. I'm a learner. I'm a sponge. I think I came out of the womb a sponge. But it is intimidating, but once you start, like, even just clicking the button and asking it something, and once you start doing that and realizing, hey, I can't do anything wrong here because I have say of the final product. I can just erase this and change it and ask it something different, or put something else on the screen, or think of another way to express myself. That once I started that, I wasn't afraid anymore, because I guess in the beginning there's just something so permanent about it. I mean, the most AI we've used is posting something like on Facebook, or posting something that you can't delete. Everything's like, everything out there is permanently out there. So I think there's always just that fear coming into this as a new someone, putting it into your practice. And it also takes time. So us on the Northeast section, I really think that we need to look into this. Definitely tool around with it over the season for what you've already done and what maybe you found in this Webby, but also continue to really dig in over the winter when you have some time, have some time away from it to get better at it. And again, remember, it's not permanent. You can just start to put together what's going to work for you. I'm going to tell you about 4 of these things are going to work for me, not all of it. I don't have but then again, all of a sudden I'm in a new project and I know which platform to go on to help me. So I challenge us all to just keep getting better at it, not be afraid of it. Brad, I share Cheryl's gratitude for you. I wanted to let everybody know Brad has an awesome book out called, well, one of his many, Purposeful Conversations.
This one I did not do with AI, by the way. This was a passion project with Peter Wong, who's a photographer. So appreciate that. To me, like, one of my driving missions is how do you develop the American family, right? And this is a book on conversations for different ages and different generations to be able to ask each other to engage during a round. So that's kind of the purpose of the book. This is the cover, and but yeah, want to check it out. You can see the link down below, and appreciate your support.
Can we buy it on Amazon, or is it at yourgolfachievement.com?
It's on my website currently. I'm getting copies printed and probably be 3 or 4 weeks.
So. Great. At least I know you now, so I can ask you to sign it.
I usually
All right.
I don't want to any of these awesome images. Like these are all of these images from Peter are just incredible. And, like I don't want to devalue the book by writing in it. It's anyways. Cool.
That's beautiful.
So
Well, thank you all for coming on. Special thanks to Brad for sharing your knowledge. I tell you what, this is a very popular conversation to have. We're probably going to have Brad come back again. In the meantime, we'll make sure to get you all this information, this whole slide stack, and all the information that you need to keep going with your learning and development of your AI in your life.
this
Have a
is
great week, everybody.
great.
Thank you. Thank you both.